Our next speaker is Leo DeAngelo. Leo? Mr. Iman. That stool, its cost per use is rapidly decreasing. Mr. Iman, I'm sorry. I'm losing my mind. Mr. DeAngelo.
Hello, my name is Leo DeAngelo and I'm in 3rd grade at Old Bridge Elementary School. I'm also on the student council organization for my class. I think that kids should have more energy during the day, activity during the day. The bad thing is we only get 15 minutes of recess, and by the time we line up, we already lost like 10 minutes. It is also bad because it is hard to concentrate on tests, and that is hard. Sometimes I talk during class because I don't get enough energy out. And also, when I get home from school, I don't want to do my homework because I have been sitting around all day and need to run around. I think it is bad for kids to only have 15 minutes of recess because we need to see our friends and get energy up. It is unhealthy for kids to sit around all day, and that's why I think it should have more recess. Thank you, school board, for listening to me.
Thank you, sir. Again, I'll give a little freedom on the cheering for children, and that's about it. Our next speaker is BJ Brown. BJ?
Good evening. My name is BJ Brown, and I've literally just come from the General Assembly for 3 days, speaking to dozens and dozens of delegates and senators on a very serious topic. Out of the mouths of babes. We now have 1 in 3 boys in areas of Virginia who've been labeled with ADHD. These drugs and that label disqualifies them for the military. These drugs have very serious side effects. Due to the side effects of the ADHD drugs, those children are at a high likelihood of being misdiagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar. These labels and ADHD are misdiagnosis. And this is right out from the founder of ADHD. He has stated these are massive misdiagnoses. They do not meet true prevalence ADHD. We have put millions and millions of children on antipsychotics. Our jails are now filled 1/3 with individuals who have grown up after having taken these drugs, and they are there due to crimes of survival. They have stolen food and clothing. The drugs cause brain atrophy. They shrink the brain of the individuals taking it. They're in these jails because they become incompetent and incapable of caring for themselves. Why am I here tonight? Due to No Child Left Behind, we took out recess, PE, and breaks for children. They now have longer schedules than adults. We have pharmacies, pharmaceutical companies who are making billions of dollars off of the drugs that they're pushing. They did a massive marketing scheme of getting into colleges, doctors' offices, and making everyone think they were safe drugs. Well, they are not. And the Department of Justice has done the 2 largest lawsuits in the history of this country in healthcare fraud against doctors who took millions of dollars to be key opinion leaders and to come out and have tainted research saying that these children had ADHD when they do not. This is not to say that there are no cases of that. There are very few.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Natalie. Again, with the applause. I'm going to ask that the applause not happen or booing or anything of those natures. Our next speaker is Natalie Sposato. Natalie?
Oh, thank you. You're quite welcome.
Good evening, members of the school board. My name is Natalie Sposato, and my address is on file. I am here with Barbara Larrimore and part of this pep rally today and the group of parents that want to see and change affected in our county around movement in our schools. We want to see longer recess and more PE. My background in this today is from a mental health perspective of working with youth and families for the last 20 years. If you would, I'd like to do a 30-second guided visualization. Members of the board and audience, please close your eyes and think of yourself in the 5th grade. What was your day like? What did you do? Where were your best memories? Where did they occur? Where did you learn some of your most fundamental life and social skills? Where were you the happiest? And what were you doing in those moments? You may open your eyes. When I was in the 5th grade, our country was being run by Ronald Reagan. We were dancing to Prince and Tina Turner, and we had PE every day. Today, what do we have? Depression rates of 8th graders of more than 20%, suicidal ideation higher than 11% across the nation. The CDC reports 11% of children ages 4 to 17 are diagnosed with ADHD. I won't get into that now, thank you. My inherent philosophy, if you don't remember anything else, is that motion changes emotion. Physical activity helps us to rewire our brains, neurons get fired, and physiology changes. Exercise and physical movement is proven to positively impact mood, release endorphins necessary to make decisions, increase executive functioning, and can help alleviate long-term depression. Motion changes emotion. Physical regulation is another aspect that we want to look at. Children get 20 minutes of recess, and that only leaves them hyper, unable to concentrate in the classroom. What happens when a child can't regulate in the classroom? They get medicated. There's countless studies, a lot of research. Social emotional development, children on the play yard at recess, they learn about demonstrating empathy. They understand social cues. They can learn to problem solve. It's a problem our workforce is seeing now. Members of the board, we are not asking you to do the impossible. We are asking you to get back to our roots. Remember those memories that you had and created in the 5th grade? We want to do the same for our children, our community, our future deserves it. Thank you.
Thank you. Quiet standing is accepted. Our next speaker is Michelle Carter. Michelle?
Good evening. My name is Michelle Carter. I am a senior program manager for physical education at Shape America, which is a national professional association for health and PE teachers. So I'm here today on a professional level, but as well as a personal level. I am a proud Prince William County graduate. I went to Garfield, Go Indians, School of Champions. I also have a 1-year-old at home that will one day, God willing, be attending Prince William County Public Schools. So I'm here for a number of reasons. I'm here to advocate for recess and physical education. It's a national recommendation that K through 12 students, all students, high school and middle school, elementary, receive 20 minutes of daily physical activity in addition to physical education. I know as a former educator myself that the time that a student is in school, there's a lot to fill in within that day, but there's a lot of research that shows that squeezing in more physical activity will have so many benefits to children, especially as was mentioned before, social and emotional learning. There's social and skills development that you learn with being physically active in recess, in physical education class, sharing, negotiation, compromise, as well as improvement of concentration and off-task behaviors. I know that currently Prince William County has about 15 minutes of recess in the elementary school, so I'm asking for 5 minutes more. I think it could be worth it. You could see it on many different levels, test scores, behavior. It would be worth the 5 minutes. I'm not sure about the secondary level, middle school and high school, but I'm sure that there would be improvement there as well. As well as I'm asking for more recess as well as physical education. Those two go hand in hand in creating an active school environment, which is very important and just pushed on a national level. Recess is a time for students to decompress from the pressures of the school day. It's also a time for students to extend their learning in physical education. Physical education teaches students how to be active, ways that they can be active. Recess is a time for extension for physical education as well as those social behaviors. With childhood obesity and school testing scores, academic success, recess is an important part of the school day. I also have packets of information on the effects of physical activity on the brain and test scores, if I could present them to the board, as well as information on recess policy, and if you're interested, guidance on recess policy as well, and strategies in recess that could be used. These are all free at the Shape America website.
Thank you. Do you have information with you now?
I do.
Okay, you can hand it to the clerk and she'll disseminate it. Thank you. Our next speaker is Robin Gahan. Robin?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Robin Gahan, and I am the Senior Director of Government Relations for the American Heart Association. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. With the troubling trend of inactivity that we're seeing and the health issues that are facing our children, increasing time spent in PE is an important way to improve the health and wellness of every child, regardless of their zip code. Only 26% of children in Virginia, ages 6 to 17, participate in vigorous physical activity daily. Yet research shows that PE improves attendance, test scores, motivation to learn, and reduces discipline referrals. It reduces anxiety and depression. And I know that adding more time for physical education isn't easy, but it is not impossible either. School divisions in other parts of Virginia, as well as across the U.S., are meeting these recommended levels of physical activity, and in particular are emphasizing the importance of physical activity through qualified physical education programs. As efforts at the national as well as at the state level at the Virginia General Assembly continue to reduce the number and the burden of standardized tests on our students, you can make time to exercise their minds by including PE. Lastly, parents want PE as part of their children's daily education, and more than half parents believe their children aren't getting enough, and that's very evident tonight. So I encourage you to make Prince William County Schools a leader for children's health and well-being. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Barbara Larrimore. Barbara?
I was going to try a cartwheel, but I guess I decided against it. It's probably for the best. Hi, everyone. I'm Barbara Larrimore, and I am here today to support more PE and recess in our schools. I think it's so important, and those professionals from Shape America, from the American Heart Association, social workers, they're here from the American Heart, from all pediatrics, where my kids go, are all here to say the same thing and agree with me. First of all, I want to thank the people who came here today. They think it's important to them, and they put their money where their mouth was, showed up here in the middle of winter on a Wednesday, so thank you guys so much. Okay, here it is. Don't embarrass me, guys. We practiced this. What do we want? Recess. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? PE. When do we want it? Now. Good job, ladies. Okay. I also want to thank my son's teacher who created a GoFundMe page to get her entire classroom outfitted with flexible seating, which my second grader now enjoys and is really turning the corner on thriving and not just surviving. It's been a great journey to try to get people on board with this, and it turns out it wasn't that hard. I'm already riding the tide of what's happening in the state of Virginia, what's happening across America, is that parents and children really need this and want to see this change happen. I look to you today to find out what best practices are. There can't be 25 different ways to do the best thing. The definition of the best is the most excellent, I thought that was funny, effective and desirable type or quality. I look to you to establish a committee to find out what best practices look like in Prince William County, and I have a feeling you'll already find it if you look and get a committee and petition Dr. Waltz to do that for us. I appeal to your sense of adventure. It'll be fun. This is for the kids. It's all for the kids. I know you guys are here for the kids. I know you don't make enough money to be here any other reason. So I know that you truly care. To your legacy, I please reach across party lines, reach across to each other. In this way, I think you all can succeed, and nobody loses. Nobody loses, and we are all going to win. To better their lives physically, socially, and emotionally, we must give them back the time to be children. To play is to learn, and to learn is to grow. Give them back their childhoods, and I promise you all of us will win. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, I got some time. Hold on. What do we want? When do we want it? Now. What do we want? When do we want it? Now. Woo! I'm going to do that No, I'm not going to do the cartwheel. Okay.
Thank you. Our next speaker is David Larrimore. David?
I feel ridiculous. That's okay. I hope you don't mind. I have an assistant here. Take me a second to set up. All right. So we're gonna play. Here you go, Henry. You can have this one. We're gonna play a little game here. Get a little math, I guess. So the National Academy of Pediatrics. Go ahead, Dee. Recommends 60 minutes of aerobic activity every day. That can be games such as tag, jump rope, running, dancing, swinging on playground equipment. Just put it down. There you go. Now, Prince William County Board of Education defines a school day as being 400 minutes long. So, to show you how many 400 is, I've gotten 400 marbles. There we go. That's 400 minutes. Now, including the busing back and forth, that accounts for 50% of our children's awake hours. 50% of their day are spent at school. Now, let's look at what our children actually receive when it comes to physical activity. On most days, students only receive 15 minutes. No, just right. Oh, sorry. This is it. So of the 400 minutes they spend at school, this is all they get for physical activity. Now, for those of you who don't want to do the math, that is less than 4% of their school day. That also means for every 22 minutes of instructional time, they get 1 minute of actual physical activity, which, by the numbers, is 50% of what is recommended by the American Academy of Pediatrics. I'm here today to get us to that 30 minutes so our children can thrive. 15 minutes to enact change. That's what I'm here for. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, I have it as a joint speaker, is Caleb and Mary. Andrea Delavan. Andrea?
She's going to talk about recess. Oh, no. The pom-pom
I'm
girls.
Andrea Delavan. I have a kindergartner at Springwoods Elementary in Lake Ridge, and I am including/deferring my time to Miss Barbara Larrimore in our fight for more PE and recess at schools.
I'm sorry, I have to jump in here. You've already spoken once at Citizens Time. You can't defer your time to someone else. You have to speak for yourself if she's already spoken at Citizens Time by policy. So I apologize, but we have to. Otherwise, it could be crazy if we don't follow that policy. So.
Can I help her with the skit?
You sure can. You sure can.
I don't like you. You're
I don't like you at all.
You're
the
horrible.
worst.
You're mean.
It's so late.
I don't like it.
You should do that on the
All right. Let's go outside and play together.
That's a great idea.
I love you.
We're best friends! Yay!
That felt so much better than just staying around in the classroom all day and having to sit and hold ourselves together and hold in all that energy. Thanks for going outside and playing with me, Barbara.
You're my best friend, Andrea.
Woo! Thank you. I know, right? So, that was weird, yes. Thank you for putting up with us. It is crazy, the longer I sat here and watched everybody, all of these adults, myself included, that none of us can hold still for hours and hours and hours. And again, to ask our kids to do that at school and to sit there and actually listen and pay attention and learn. We're all back here zoning out, playing on our phones. Everybody is. And the kids are being asked to actually concentrate and study and pay attention. And they cannot do that. They cannot do that without exercise and recess. I mean, attention deficit, you know, like you can't be expected, you can't ask people to pay attention when we can't do that either. It's not enough. The kids need more time, the little kids especially, they need more time to get up and run around. I mean, there are board members sitting up here right now that are not paying attention. And that's okay, but you're not paying attention. And how can you be expected to do that? How can you ask the kids to do that when you can't do it either? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Deborah Hunter. I'm not getting ahead of myself there. So the next speaker, number 21 on the list, is joint speakers, Amy and Josley.
Hello, good morning. Hi, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. My coworker Josley had to leave early. I have lost attention myself. It's been a long night. I'm a nurse. I'm a registered nurse at all pediatrics. I have been a nurse for 10 years. I work with children, so my job as a nurse is to advocate for children, not only my patients, but all children in my community. Again, I've been working for 10 years with children. As each year, I see increased number of children with ADHD. During the first couple months of school, we receive calls from parents because the teachers are complaining that the children are not paying attention in class. I mean, I was just wondering what is going on with this community, what is going on here in the U.S. I mean, I grew up mostly in Africa, no food, no clothes, but we went to school, 60 children in class, 80 children in class, but we're able to stay quiet and pay attention to our teachers and do well academically. Why not here where they have everything? You know, I came to think about here, of course, children are sitting like we're sitting here all night. You just have a bathroom break. You don't have it, there's no recess time. So that just from experience or from what I see, also the CDC has done some studies, about 5 studies on physical activity affect children. More children who have more physical activities, they perform better. They pay more attention. Also, it helps them, with their health. We can say all this, try to make everything better for our children, school boundary, all kinds of stuff. But, if we are not taking good health care for our children physically, then nothing is going to be accomplished. We're just going to raise children who's going to end up being obese, die early, not live longer as they should, not be able to see their grandchildren because they have diabetes. They develop second type 2 diabetes, hypertension, all stuff of disease out there. I'm sure each one of you have went to a doctor's appointment and the doctor have told you, okay, eat better and exercise. If none of you have received the recommendation, you can raise your hand. Each person, from now on, we do assess our children. We do blood work to make sure their cholesterol level are fine. We tell parents you need to take your children outside for exercise, a couple times a week. But that doesn't happen because at home, of course, children are glued on video games and TVs. Parents are busy. So while we decide to help with our patient in the community, we have developed a program called Walk with the Doc, which the third Saturday of each month, we take, we pass our flyer to our communities, not just our patients. just to go to the mall or some school, just walk with the patients. If they have questions with the doctor, they talk to doctors. So we ask for the community board to please give our children more time to exercise, more physical activity and research.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Patrick O'Neill. Patrick?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Kenny Bodie. Kenny?
Good morning, board, Dr. Waltz, everyone else who's still here. I first wanted to thank Barbara Larrimore and the folks that came out today to talk about recess. It's a fairly important issue, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. Recess is one of those things where it not only positively impacts the students, because, you know, as been said several times by a lot more folks who are a lot more specialized and knowledgeable than I am, it helps attention span, helps performance, helps all sorts of things for the students. But the other side of that is it also helps teachers too. Because if the teachers are spending more time just instructing students as opposed to dealing with disciplinary issues, that helps them. There was a study done back in 2014. It was a Stanford study where they looked at not only the impact on students, but on teachers too. And if there's a structured positive recess and PE system, that makes it so the teachers and the coaches who are involved in administering that recess system, they can structure the rules of the games that the kids play. Then they're on the same page. Because what happens is if you have these chaotic sort of free-for-all recesses, there's an issue there where, you know, kids make up their own rules and then there's disputes and all sorts of other stuff, and it's more stressful for the teachers. So that's the other side of it. The other side of it that hasn't been talked about very much is how recess and positive experiences can impact disadvantaged students. Because for a lot of disadvantaged students, they don't have a lot of stability at home. They don't have a lot of places where they can just have fun and they can say, hey, this is my stable place with folks that I enjoy spending time with. Recess is one of those places. And I know that because the family I come from, I come from a broken home. I didn't have a lot of opportunity to sort of have a safe place when I was at home to sort of just relax and unwind. So having a place where I was able to spend time with my friends, able to just hang out, able to have positive experiences with other people outside of all that craziness of home was actually a really helpful experience for me. The last thing I'll talk about is the fact that this sort of issue about us not having enough time for recess and PE is part of a much more underlying symptom that I don't think we've talked about a lot. We've talked about tonight, but it's over-testing in our schools. The fact that we spend so much time benchmark testing, standardized testing, all that stuff, it makes it so it creates the exact opposite of what a good PE and a good recess system will make. Because there's kids who are over-tested, even at the elementary school level, they're overstressed, all that good stuff. So what I'm trying to say is less testing, more recess, and I think that's the key to making sure that our kids in our schools will have a much better time. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker.